the traditional GPA system that maybe your hometown high school will. So we follow the QPA system, which is quality point average. So this is just a quick summary on how exactly your QPA is going to be calculated. You do not have access to your QPA on our grade recording system, which is PowerSchool. But if you do want to know what it is, you can access it on a website called Naviance, or you can just calculate it yourself. And this is how you will do it. So it's just your numeric final grade, so the actual number that it is, for your course multiplied by the number of credits earned for that course. And then any coursework that like you retake, it won't be counted. And then you're going to sum all of those quality points together and then divide by the total number of credits that you attempt. And then that quotient is your QPA. It's a bit complicated, but I mean, you can calculate it yourself.
Yep. Okay. Now let's first talk about the Academy for Information Technology, or AIT. So my name is Claire Yang. I'm a junior at AIT, and I'm involved in FBLA, Newspaper Club, and Coding Club.
Hi, my name is Paige. I'm a junior at AIT. I do color guard with Arthur L. Johnson and Clark. I'm in Newspaper Club. I've been the team captain for my Relay for Life team. I also do FBLA and Coding Club.
I'm Alvin. I'm a junior at AIT. I'm vice president of speech and debate. I've been on student government for 2 years, student council for 3, in Relay for Life and FBLA.
Hi, my name is Amrielle. I'm involved in Multicultural Club, speech and debate, coding. I'm an officer in Relay for Life, and then I'm also involved in mental health, in Mental Hop and FBLA.
So with that being out of the way, at AIT we have 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 4 years of science, and 3 required years of world language, but you can continue as a senior. Across UCVTS, the only language offered is Spanish, so that should be noted. We also have fitness and health for all 4 years, where health is 1 marking period, and you have gym the other 3 marking periods. And during your sophomore year, you will also have to take dance appreciation for 1 marking period. And basically in this, it's only a few classes out of that marking period, and this is to meet the state arts requirement. So at AIT, our 2 paths are business and IT. So during your sophomore year, you'll take AP Computer Science Principles and Principles of Business and Finance. So in AP Computer Science Principles, you'll get to learn how to code in Python and the basics of coding. So like coding concepts in general, which can be used across several different languages. Also like how a computer works, like on a more fundamental hardware level. And Alvin, would you like to talk about Principles of Business?
Yeah, Principles of Business is something in your sophomore year where you get to manage your budget, your personal budget, and also how a startup business would work. So then you would present a business plan in your class and learn more about the entrepreneurship in the real world. And the business track then splits off in the junior year, where you get to take AP microeconomics and AP macroeconomics in the same year. So each of those AP courses would each take a semester, and then in May you would take both AP tests. So it's kind of 2 AP classes in 1 year. Then in senior year, you would take both global financial markets and investment for your career and technical education. And then there's another class, if you choose to take the business class, that would take the spot of your math course for your senior year. So you wouldn't really get a math choice in your senior year if you chose business. And that's the business track of AIT.
And for the IT track, we do AP Computer Science A junior year. And in this course, you'll learn how to code in Java. So you'll take that knowledge that you got in AP Comp Sci Principles and apply it to learn Java. And it's basically a continuation of AP Computer Science Principles. And you'll learn coding in more depth. You'll be able to apply it for more advanced things. And you'll learn a lot more real world applications for it. It's only 1 AP test at the end of the year since it's only 1 course. And then in your senior year, you'll take Advanced Software Development. And I believe in this course you'll learn SQL, even more in-depth coding really, and just really like building off of that foundation from APCSP and APCSA to be able to make code that would actually make a real change in the world. And there's not an additional math class unlike AP, unlike the finance track, so you'd just be on your regular math course, or you could also have the option to take AP Stats.
Hello. Now, all the schools on campus have certain things that make them unique, and this is what is unique about AIT. So, firstly, it's basically the central hub of campus, as we are the home of the only gym, nurse, and multimedia center on campus. The MMC is a place where students can go to study in their free time. We are also the only school that offers AP computer science classes. So, for a lot of AP classes in other schools on campus, we are allowed to take those as an elective, but only AIT students are allowed to take the computer science classes. In and then we also, like as my partner said, we have both a computer science track and a business track. In your business track, you will receive targeted financial education. So we go into depth on the budget challenge and learn how to pay bills and pay taxes. We also we get a lot of insight into the stock market, even if we don't take the business track. If you do take the business track, you get a class fully for investing in senior year. Through both our business and our computer science classes, we receive a lot of certifications. So I'm a junior, and so far I already have about 3 certifications and 1 award just from what we've done in class, both business and technology. In all of our classes, the learning experience is very immersive, and a lot of teachers try to fit in technology lessons within the specific course. Going back to the tech side of our school, some people intern at AIT as a tech intern, and they get real world experience in being able to troubleshoot and help in the tech department. Also, we have a unique opportunity to take the AP Capstone research course. This is the AP Capstone diploma is something only about 21,000 students in America get per year, and only AIT students are allowed to do it. It gives you hands-on experience with researching, writing a long paper, kind of like a PhD dissertation, and you gain a lot of real-world skills. And finally, because our school doesn't have sports, AIT finds a way to still give us a pep rally. So, towards the end of the year, before AP testing, we have a ceremony where we call up people who are doing different testing. We give them badges for the tests they're doing, and it definitely helps boost morale and keep people encouraged for studying.
Okay, I can talk a little bit more about the AP Computer Science track, which is the one I'm currently taking. And currently we're learning Java in preparation for the AP Computer Science A exam. And for me, I'd say it's pretty hands-on and very project-based. So our teacher, his name is Dr. Wiener. He typically lectures in the first 10 to 15 minutes, and then he really lets us try ourselves hands-on by coding a lab or project, or doing problem sets on AP Classroom. So I personally think AP Computer Science is a great track if you're interested in the problem-solving aspect. Um, or if you also want a strong foundation in coding, because I think, especially with AI and the current trends in innovation, I feel like coding is a very important skill to have. And another thing I think Amriel already mentioned, but AIT is actually the home of the gymnasium. So while every school has a fitness center, AIT is the only school with a big gym, which is typically what many middle schools would have. So this is where Project Adventure will take place. And that's basically a marking period in gym where you get to climb ropes and do rock climbing. I think it's pretty unique. I think it's pretty unique, and it's also a very fun course. So, and AIT is also the home of the nurse.
Also, to add to the comp sci thing, you said a lot of great things about. I also like to say in AP Computer Science Principles and AP Computer Science A, there's a lot of collaboration between students since everybody's just learning these languages for the first time. So I think like in the AP comp sci class more than any other ones, I see students getting in groups, working together, solving problems together. Like I'll just have like this one error and I'll be like, hey, do you know how to solve this? And they'll be like, and so the person will be like, oh, I have the same issue. I'll be like, okay, let's work together, let's solve it. So I think that's a really fun part of it.
Alvin, would you like to talk about the AP Econ business track?
Yeah, I just talked about it.
Do you want to expand more on the teachers or?
Yeah, Mrs. Villarreal is a great teacher. She has lots of helpful materials, and she lets us know which websites and which YouTube tutors are good for extra studying on the side, and she gives us extra practice. But it doesn't double as homework, so we don't get overloaded with work, even though it's a 2 AP class.
Okay, that's great. So now, if you guys have any questions, by the way, feel free to drop them in the chat or ask them out loud. Otherwise, you can hold it till the end for the Q&A session. But next, we're going to talk about the Academy for Allied Health Sciences, or Allied.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Dimitri. I'm a senior at Allied and I'm the vice president of HOSA. And I'm also involved in the Allied Student Government, Relay for Life, the Union County Students Demand Action chapter, and FBLI.
Okay. Hi, my name is Kelly, and I'm a junior at the Academy for Allied Health Sciences. I'm the historian for our junior class council, and I'm also involved with HOSA as well as some other clubs outside of school. Okay, so what sets Allied apart from other schools includes the ability to earn college credit through our CTE classes, aside from taking your standard courses such as math, English, or history. Students at Allied gets the opportunity to take Rutgers leveled courses every year. So starting in your freshman year, you'll be taking Dynamics of Healthcare, and this class gives incoming freshmen a brief overview on how the healthcare system works. And in this course, students will be able to become certified in both OSHA and HIPAA, and these two certifications can help boost your resume. Now, in sophomore year, students get the opportunity to take essentially 3 CTE courses, and 2 of those courses are half year, and those 2 courses are community health and emergency clinical care. In community health, it focuses more on how specific public healthcare policies affect epidemiology, while emergency clinical care is a more hands-on course that teaches students how to react to specific medical emergencies. And a really cool aspect of emergency clinical care is that students get to become certified in basic life support, and they also become certified in CPR. And this certification really helps when students want to eventually apply to EMS squads or become full-on EMTs. Now for medical terminology, that's our other full year CTE course that is offered. It focuses more on the terminology used by real-life healthcare professionals and how it refers to certain anatomy, medical procedures, and diseases. And in the following year, in your junior year, students get to take anatomy and physiology, which is the study of how bodily structures and how it affects the function of living organisms. And lastly, in your senior year, students get to pick between 2 options for their CTE courses. One of them is a full year course, which is EMT, and the other are 2 half-year courses, which is Introduction to Clinical Research, as well as Allied Health Capstone. Now in EMT, it is very similar to emergency clinical care, where it's a more hands-on experience. Students get to learn specific skills to help them prepare to take the national EMT exam, which all students who take EMT will have to take at the end of the school year, while Introduction to Clinical Research and Capstone allows students to eventually formulate their own research papers by studying specific scientific research methods, as well as research studies done in real life. And it's important to note that regardless of the CTE courses offered for Allied, students are not forced into a health-related field, and there are opportunities to explore other paths by joining different clubs on campus, as well as signing up for the different AP courses offered throughout the district.
And also, before we switch slides, I do just want to mention that since Intro to Clinical Research is a Rutgers course, recently they changed the name to Principles of Scientific Inquiry. So that wouldn't be noted on the little required courses sheet because that was from last year, but they recently changed it this year. Now, regarding what makes Allied unique from other schools on UCVTS, like Kelly mentioned, we do offer dual credit opportunities from Rutgers University with a few of our classes, She also mentioned that during your freshman year, when you take Dynamics of Healthcare and Society, you can gain an OSHA 10 certification, which is a 10-hour occupational safety and health course that really is based around main topics that are important to the healthcare field, a few being how to handle sharps, personal protective equipment, and bloodborne diseases. So that's good for any healthcare professional to know. Now, every school has a main focus that they follow, and obviously at the Academy for Allied Health Sciences, we focus on the medical sciences to prepare students for a career in the healthcare field. And one way we try to do this is through a student-led organization called HOSA FHP. But we'll talk more about this club in detail later, but it is a great area to meet students that have similar values and goals for what they want to go into career-wise. Now, next on the list is senior internship, and this is something very exclusive and unique to Allied. And how it works is for 2 block periods, so either the starting half or the ending half of your school day, students can go to their own internships on like healthcare-based fields, and it counts for its own class, and it allows students to gain hands-on experience in fields that they're interested in, ultimately preparing them for the healthcare field. And also, it can be either full year or half year. So if you're not like fully dedicated to it, you can do it for a half year and then take more semester-based classes later on. And then finally, stemming away from the educational aspects of Allied, we do want students to have a few days throughout the school year where they can kind of relax a bit and just interact with their peers. So we hold 4 Allied Pride Days every year, and they're hosted by our student government. And they all have some game show like competition at the end in the auditorium, and there's student participating. And we also have a bunch of activities just to make sure everyone's included. And they take place on the half days before Thanksgiving, winter, spring, and summer break. So overall at Allied, we try to provide our students with both preparation for future health careers and an enjoyable environment to foster learning and leadership.
So now we're going to talk a little bit more about Magnet.
Hello, I'm Zoe. I'm a junior at Magnet High School, and I'm involved in Science Club, HOSA, which is Allied's club, and then some clubs outside of school.
Hi, my name is Raghav. I'm a junior at Magnet High School. I'm one of the programming leaders for robotics at UCVTS, and I'm also involved in Relay for Life as well as TSA.
All right, so a bit about some of Magnet's required courses. So Magnet CTE track, we are an engineering focused school. So our CTE courses in freshman year, you'll take technology and design. And at the end of the year, you'll have a chance to be certified in AutoCAD, which is computer-aided design program that you can use to make 2D drawings. And then sophomore year, you'll take Introduction to Engineering and Digital Modeling. So this is the class that every single sophomore has to take. It is required by the school. And essentially it focuses on 3D modeling, and it also focuses on the engineering, the manufacturing side of it. So for essentially the first half of the year, you'll be learning another computer program called Fusion, where you'll also have to be certified in that. So that totals 2 certifications. And then for the second half of the year, it's a lot more hands-on, and you'll get a chance to work in the makerspace with some of the machines, which the makerspace, it's a big part of Magnet, but we'll discuss that a bit more when talking about robotics. And the second CTE course is where you'll have a choice. So students can choose between physics, or they can choose between civil and electrical engineering. So those are semester courses. So the thing about physics is that because of the math background that is required for some of the concepts in that class, a student has to be enrolled in at least math analysis by the time they're in their sophomore year to be able to take physics. And if you are not able to do that, then you don't have that choice. So you will have to take the other track, which is civil and electrical engineering. And something else about physics if you are enrolled in math analysis by your sophomore year, that does not mean that you have to take physics. You can still choose the other course. However, if you do choose physics, the one thing is that if you take physics in your sophomore year, then you will have to take AP Mechanics in your junior year. So that will be one elective that you're required to take if you take physics in your sophomore year. If you decide to not take physics in your sophomore year, then you'll take it in your junior year, and then that means that you don't have to take AP Mechanics as a course. So those are just some things to keep in mind about that choice that you have to make in sophomore year. And then in junior year, you'll have semester courses. So first things first is Introduction to Programming, and then Advanced Manufacturing and Project Management. So for Intro to Programming, you will learn Java as a language. It won't go as in depth, obviously, as AIT's course. However, you will get the basics of Java, which is required for some of the projects that you'll have to complete in your junior year and also in your senior year. And then you'll take advanced manufacturing, which will take you back into the makers phase, which is a lot more hands-on of a course, which again, we'll discuss more when we talk about robotics. And then in senior year, you'll take human factors engineering. And yeah.
All right, so what makes Madelyn unique is definitely our engineering CTE track. It kind of gives you an opportunity to go into like each of the engineering fields that you want to try out or that there are. Another thing that's really unique about Magnet is robotics. Robotics is hosted in Magnet. We also do have TSA, which is another one of our clubs where you can participate in a bunch of engineering competitions as well as other stuff as well. And also one thing that our seniors get to do is they get to do a work-based learning senior internship program. So essentially what that is you'll have 8 classes senior year. You can take 4 of those classes and instead go to an internship. You'd have to obviously apply for it and show that you have an internship junior year. But if you do get one, you can either do this for half the year or for the full year. And that's one of the things our seniors get to do. Like Zoe said, you'd get the AutoCAD and Fusion certification freshman and sophomore year. And again, Magnet students get the opportunity to take physics as a sophomore year course and AP Mechanics as a junior year course, which is really good if you're really into engineering and want to go to more advanced physics courses earlier. And also, the day before winter break, we have what is known as Maha Day, which is how we just basically appreciate all the different heritage that students from our school have. Students basically get to take a broom and prepare a presentation, bring food, and basically show other students what their culture is like, certain traditions that they do, play certain games from their country, stuff like that. It's a really fun time, especially before winter break.
Now we're going to be talking about UC Tech.
Hi, I'm Divine Manuel. I'm a Law and Justice junior at UC Tech, and I play varsity tennis. I'm the vice president of student council, event chair for student government, and I'm working communications for Relay for Life.
Is Camila here?
Yes, sorry, I'm in a very loud environment, but hi, my name is Camila Suarez. I am a clinical care junior. I am president of student council and vice president of student government. I run varsity cross country and track and field. I'm one of the heads of the art committee of HOSA, and I am in the fundraising committee for Relay for Life, and I'm part of Spanish Honor Society.
Hi, I'm Layla Jones from XFIZ. I'm a junior and I'm secretary at Drama Club. And I'm also one of the group leader for my thing for Relay, and I do stuff outside of school.
Hi, I'm Casey Baptiste. I'm the citizenship co-chair for FFA. I am in charge of designing and Relay for Life. I'm the captain of my volleyball team, and I'm sustainable representative for student council.
Hi, my name is Sasha. I'm a junior in the Teaching Education Academy, and I'm an officer in FCCLA, and I'm involved in HOSA, and I'm on the activities committee for Relay for Life. Is Valerie here? Okay, I think we might just move on.
Okay, so we have basically the same required courses for the typical classes, except that we only require 2 years of language. But what differentiates us is that we have CTE courses, which are academy dependent. So for law and justice in 9th grade, you take Intro to Law, which is like a surface level dive into the future courses, which you will be taking in your future years. And in 10th grade, you take 3 courses. 2 of them are only 1 semester long. So you take 21st Century Policing, which is like the history of policing and present day standards for policing, as well as Crime Scene Investigation, which is a very hands-on lab-esque atmosphere class. And you are also required to take AP Government. In 11th grade, you take 2 courses, which is Criminal Law and Procedure, which involves a lot of mock trials for both criminal and civil cases. And currently we have 2 law students who are interning and guiding us. And we also take a college level introduction to class for Introduction to Analysis of Public Policy under Syracuse. And if you get an 85 in the class, you get the college credits for it. And in 12th grade, you get to take business law, corrections, and juvenile delinquency. Camilla, take it away.
Okay, so I'm in clinical care. So in clinical care, during our freshman year, we take Dynamics of Healthcare, which is a Rutgers course. So similarly to Allied, every single year we have a college course that gives us credits. So our freshman year, it is Dynamics of Healthcare in Society, but it is in addition Clinical Care 1, which is basically where we learn like the HIPAA, like kind of like what it is. We learn how to this is gonna sound really weird, but how to wash our hands and everything to do with asepsis, disinfection, keeping a operating room sterile. We learn blood pressure, vitals, everything like that. And then in 10th grade, we take another Rutgers course, which is medical terminology and emergency clinical care, which is where we get CPR certified, and community health. So we take all those 3. So medical terminology is with our academy teacher, and emergency clinical care and community health, they're both half-year courses. So in ECC, we call it, we get CPR certified, and then in community health, we learn about things in our communities and things like that. And we take the Rutgers test for midterm and for community health. And then in 11th grade, well, junior year, which is what I'm in now, we are taking Anatomy and Physiology 1, because we take it twice. So we take Anatomy and Physiology 1, which we will be taking a Rutgers exam for. And we start Pharmacology and Clinical Care 2 and Introduction to EKG Interpretations. So in our clinical care classes, this is mostly where we learn the pharmacology and the introduction to EKG interpretations. It's kind of like within the class. So on our course list, it's only listed as Anatomy and Physiology 1 and Clinical Care 2. And then junior year, we actually take the class Pharmacology, and we take Anatomy and Physiology 2, along with Clinical Care 3 and the Fundamentals of Health and Wellness, which is also a Rutgers course. And for certifications and everything like that, we get OSHA certified, HIPAA certified, we get CPR certified, like basic life support. And in addition, we get clinical, a medical assistant certification. It's called NOCTI Medical Assisting Certification. So that means that once we get out of high school, or depending on where you go, you can become like a clinical medical assistant right out of high school. So it's really cool. And we also get like the pharmacology certifications. So obviously outside of high school, we can work in like a pharmacy or anything like that. So each of the courses varies per year. Anything to do with like clinical care is all with our academy teacher, but like dynamics, ECC, community health are all like allied, like courses that we have allied teachers. But then the rest of it is just with our academy teacher who we get very close with. So that's something very positive. We're very like tight family, and we're able to like apply these skills throughout like all our 4 years, because in clinical care we have these like dummies that like they breathe, they like complain, they scream, and like they're very like they pretend to be real people so that we can assess them with all the skills we learn. And yeah, if anyone from XFiz wants to take it away.
Hey, my name is Layla. I'm from XFiz. Yes. And I'm going to talk about our CTEs. So in freshman year, you take Intro to Exercise Physiology, which is basically like an overview for what you're going to be doing for the next like 4 years in high school. So you are able to do like, we go over like things in anatomy and like med term a little bit, and like we go through like what we do, like heart rate and stuff. And then sophomore year, you actually take medical terminology and dynamics of healthcare. And I think, in my opinion, we get like the most, we get like we're closer to the test date where when we take dynamics, because everyone takes dynamics, the test in sophomore year, even though some certain classes may take the class their freshman year. So we all take it sophomore year, but we extras were able to take it our sophomore year as well. And we also take emergency and clinical care our sophomore year in the second half of the year. And we do lots of fun labs, and we learn CPR, as I said before, and lots of skills like how to wrap up wounds and keep things sterile, and lots of things to help us be successful in the medical field, and especially in case of an emergency. And in junior year, we take nutrition and intro to physical therapy, which are half-year courses. So is dynamics and ECC from sophomore year. And in those courses in nutrition, we go in depth in the digestive system and learn how food gets absorbed, and how foods work in the body, and how their like nutrition is. And we also take Intro to Physical Therapy, which is a course where we learn how to treat people who are injured before, and get them back to their original state. And we also take Anatomy and Physiology 1 our junior year with the Clinical Care Academy teacher. And yeah, and we learn a little bit about, we go in depth in the nervous system, skeletal system, muscular system, and the special senses. And then in your senior year, you take Anatomy and Physiology 2, where you go in depth in the digestive system, integumentary system, the reproductive systems, and so on. And we also take exercise prescription for special populations, where you learn how to assess specific cases in exercise physiology. So does the sustainable rep want to take it from here?
Yes. Okay. Freshman year, we take two different sustainable courses, one of them being Introduction to Environmental Sciences. It's just a broad intro to ease you into the complicated methods that we'll use like later on in other environmental science classes later in your school life. And we also take human ecology that same year, and it covers like the relationship of humans with the environment and highlights how pollution damages the planet and ways to reduce harmful methods that we use. And we also use in-class experiments to like prove that like it works. The following year, sophomore year, year round, you take principles of agricultural sciences, or just simply called plant science. It goes in depth on like what are plants, how do we classify them, why do we need plants, what are inside of plants. And with this course, we use the greenhouse and garden that's connected to the sustainable room. And also the same year, sophomore year, we also take AP environmental science. It goes into like everything needed if you want to like continue on your sustainable journey in college. It includes animal hierarchy, geography, pollution, health and types of diseases, aquaculture, and like more like in depth. Junior year, which is the year I'm in right now, we take our second required AP course, which is AP biology. It's basically like a harder freshman biology course. It goes like a lot more into depth, like on the topics that we learned. And also like we're taking sustainable energy technology and integration. This class goes over how energy works, how to be efficient with it, and different energy methods that we learned the previous year during AP environmental science. And in January, I'll be taking the next course, which is Sustainable Energy Technology and Integration. This class focuses on the business aspect of sustainability and creating new original products with the knowledge learned from the previous course. Senior year, sustainable is going to be in Keene, which is taking a college class. Yeah, so environmental sciences at a college level at Keene. And the club that's every sustainable person is in is called the Future Farmers of America. It's a nationwide program that offers competitions, leadership positions, school out of school trips, and also scholarships. Like you could scholarships for college. Yeah, like basically that's it. So whoever wants to go next, take it away.
So for the Teacher Education Academy, in our freshman year, we take Intro to Education and Developmental Learning. So those are 2 semester classes. And developmental learning kind of is a building block for what we take in sophomore year, which is AP Psychology, Multicultural Education, and Current Issues in American Education. So sophomore year is more of like discussion based. We learn really about the core of education and the problems that are in the current education system. And junior year, which I'm in now, we're taking teaching and learning across content areas and contemporary methods of instruction and practice. And later this year, we're going to be taking the Praxis exam. So if you're not familiar with that, it's basically one of the tests that you take in order to become a teacher, similar to like the MCAT or the LSAT to become a lawyer or a medical professional. And then senior year, along with sustainable, we also go to Kane. And we also have the opportunity to have a senior internship to accommodate for all the time we have.
Hi, sorry about earlier. I'm Valerie. I'm the one here for design. I'll tell you guys a little bit about the courses that we take. So freshman year, we take Intro to Design, which is one class split up into 2 semesters. So the first semester is Intro to Form, where we basically go over like different art techniques, kind of like principles of art, principles of design, stuff like that. And then that kind of transitions into Intro to Technique, which is the second half of the year. And there we go into more specific techniques that are going to help prepare us for industrial design sophomore year and architectural design junior year, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. Freshman year is also mostly hand-based drawing, so like everything is like fine arts, stuff like that. All our projects are fine arts. Freshman year we also get OSHA certified, much like all the other academies. Sophomore year we do industrial design and graphic design. Those are 2 separate classes. that you take full year. So industrial design is more architectural based design learning. We apply a lot of the stuff that we learned during Intro to Technique freshman year. In industrial design, we also get AutoCAD certified, which is like a very popular program in the design industry, especially for like architectural architects and interior design and things like that. We also take graphic design, which is more kind of like marketing based design. We do a lot of marketing based projects. And we also learn a bunch of different Adobe programs such as Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop. We also touch a little bit on Adobe InDesign, but we don't go that deep into it. And we also get our Photoshop certification for that class. And I didn't forgot to mention it, but for industrial design, we do AutoCAD certified, and then we also use Revit. So that's another pro. So we learn like a lot of different programs throughout the course of sophomore year. Um, for junior year, which is what I'm currently in, we take 2 design classes as well. We have architectural design, which is kind of similar to industrial design, except it's split up into 2 very large projects. So the first half of the year, we're going to be working on a bathroom project where we have to take skills that we used from both classes in their previous years and apply them into like a brand-based bathroom design. And then the second half of the year, we do a restaurant fusion project, which we take 2 different architectural styles and we fuse them into one restaurant. And then the other full year class we take is AP Art History, so that's our required AP class, where we have to essentially familiarize ourselves with 250 works of art, spanning from prehistory, so like before written history, to modern times. And then senior year, like sustainable and teaching, we do it at Kane. And at Kane, you can take 3 separate like tracks almost. You can do industrial design, interior design, and then you can also take graphic design. So you would focus on one of those like separate like tracks, I guess, when you're at Kane. That's all.
All right, so what makes UC Tech unique? So we're technically the namesake of UCVTS, as we are the first school, and all of the other schools sort of branched out from what began as academies in our school. But obviously we've evolved and added different academies. Like the Law and Justice Academy is actually a very recent addition in the last 5 years or so. And what else makes us very unique is that 3 out of 6 of the academies go to Kane their senior year, and they take college level courses, which also allows them to finish college in 3 years as they take it their senior year. And all of our academies are required to take the OSHA certification, although it's allowed to, we all take it at different times. Furthermore, we do have the cafeteria in our building. And a lot of students during lunchtime kind of loiter around our school and just sort of like walk around there. We also host Career Day, which actually began as a law and justice event only, as it was started by our advisor, Mrs. Violante. However, it has trickled down to invite other professionals from all of the fields, regardless of the sphere that they are in. So on Career Day, professionals from various fields come and explain and discuss their job, and it's a very good networking opportunity, and real-world exposure is received during that time. It's a very good time to get internships, and also our teachers love to talk to a lot of the people there in order to invite them as guest speakers, as all the academies have a lot of guest speakers, but primarily Law and Justice has the most. I also do know that I think the other schools are beginning to implement this Career Day to their own schools as well. Every academy also has a lot of internship opportunities. I know for most of them primarily take place during the summer of your junior year, but they're only available to select students in that academy, as you have to interview for that internship. We also, I believe, have the most students and the most trips out of all the school, if that interests you. And to go along with that, before winter break, we host WinterCon, which is hosted by our student government, where we have an interactive day with different activities. And then before spring break, we host Vocation Rotation, where we sort of get a taste of the other academies and their current coursework. Overall, we really focus on vocational training, as that's what we were created to do. However, because of all of these like different networking opportunities and the total interconnectivity within all of the academies, even if you decide to not go into a career which under the vocation that you're currently in, it's still very easy to get experience and internships for other fields as well.
Okay, now we're going to talk about the Academy for Performing Arts, or APA.
Hello, my name is Jessica Bloom. I am a technical theater major at the Academy for Performing Arts. I am the technical theater liaison for student government, and I am also a director for Drama Club, which is open up to all the schools on campus.
Hi, I'm Anastasia Chinsky. I am a junior dance major. I am president of APA Student Government. I'm the other art committee head for HOSA. I'm public relations officer for the APA and Allied Math League. I'm a co-president for Dance Club, and I am a captain of my Relay for Life team.
Hi, sorry. My name is Katie Lahamadou. I am an 11th grade theater major, and I am the APA Glee Club's co-president, which is a specified APA club.
Yes, so here at APA, our courses are a little bit different. We are the only school that has our major on both A Day and V Day, which is how our schedule is breaking down. We have our majors every day, so that means that we only have gym for one semester, and we split our gym and our elective periods. And we have so freshman year you will take theater 1, dance 1, and technical theater 1. Sophomore year you take theater 2, then tech theater 2, dance 2, and junior year you take dance 3, tech theater 3, and theater 3, depending on what your major is. And senior year we spend at Kane University, like the UC Tech kids, but except not specific to major. Like all of us go to Kane University, and the courses are listed on what we take. All of our show rehearsals for all the shows that we do at APA take place after school. We don't offer buses for that, so you need to find a way home. As I said, we spend our senior year at Kane. All expenses are paid. We pay for your textbook and we pay for your tuition. And some electives exclusive to APA are dance for majors, musical theater, and tech for majors. I'm currently taking tech for majors. It's a wonderful class. I think you learn a lot about building, and it also teaches you to think outside the box a lot. Here at APA, you are required to take 3 years of language. You have to take, like every other school, science, math, English. We do all of it here too. And as I mentioned, our gym is split in half. So to make up for the time that you don't have gym, you have to do something called fitness hours, which is you need 31 hours. You can get them throughout the school year by like going for a walk, or if you do an after school sport. We do not provide transportation for those kind of things, but we do have transportation that the school offers to and from school. And that's pretty much a summary of our courses.
To add on to the courses, as mentioned, there are some APA specific electives that you can take. We can also take ones outside. For me, I'm taking next semester physiology of stress. So you don't have to stay just in APA for your elective course if you have other interests.
And to go a little bit into what makes APA unique, we have a lot of yearly shows, and our yearly shows are as follows. Broadway Night, which happens at APA. It's a little cabaret that is student-led, and every year there's these 2 to 4 juniors that pick a theme, and we present on a showcase. And they accept everybody, so if you audition, they'll give you some sort of part, and you get to be part of it. We have our fall play every year. This year we are doing Clue, which is really fun. It usually happens to late November, and we spent a lot of time building the set, preparing for it. The fall play is directed by one of our theater teachers, and it is a really fun experience. Whether you are on the acting side or the technical theater side, you learn so much from the fall play that also happens in our black box. And do you want to talk more about Art of Creation?
Yes, so Art of Creation is the first performance for dance majors. It happens early December. This is basically an opportunity for students to learn how to create choreography themselves with the guidance of our teachers. Our two dance teachers are Miss Gavin and Sir Jackson. And freshman year, you perform with your class, and then as you go to sophomore and junior year, you get progressively smaller groups. It's a great performance. Everyone looks forward to it so much. And that one is only for freshmen and juniors. Seniors do not come back and perform in that one, but they all do come to watch and support.
Yeah, and I mentioned the musical theater class elective, and every year they put on a show. This year they are doing Little Shop of Horrors, which is really fun, and all of our shows are open to anybody to see, whether or not you go to APA. It is one of the best parts about the school is that we're so inclusive and we let everybody in. If you are not from APA, you still could audition for our shows. There's a least likely chance that you could get in if you were not from APA, but people do audition and it does happen all the time. The musical theater class show every year is basically kind of thrown together during an elective period, and it's really fun. Last year they did Mean Girls. This year they're doing Little Shop. And our spring musical, that is our big deal. Every year we perform our spring musical at UC in Rahway, and it is directed by one of our theater teachers. It is absolutely amazing every year. We have the best choreographers, the best musical directors ever, and they work with us and to make this show stunning. Last year we did Urinetown, which was phenomenal. I got the chance to be a part of the show, and being on stage for that part was absolutely amazing. And even when you're behind stage and working on stuff, the process of working for shows at APA is actually amazing, and it's Broadway level productions that get put on, and it's just high school students, it is insane, but it is one of the best parts about APA is that we all work together so well. And main stage, you want to talk more about that, Anna?
Yes, so main stage is performed at Kane's Wilkins Theater compared to how Art of Creation is performed in the Black Box. Main stage, we have guest choreographers come in and set pieces on us. There are multiple. Freshman year, you do a cultural piece and a ballet piece, and then sophomore, junior year is a little different. You have different guest choreographers come in, and seniors are also part of that one. It's a great way to end the year. It's usually in the beginning of May, and since Wilkins Theater is so big, you invite as many people as you want. For Art of Creation, it's limited to there's 2 nights and 2 tickets per dancer, and main stage is 1 night. But both performances are great. Those are just strictly for dance majors though, because you work them during your during your major class every day.
Yes, thank you. And lastly, we have our theater/tech showcase. So every year, your grade will have a showcase, which is the theater majors perform scenes, and the technical theater majors, we show the art projects that we worked on throughout the school year, and they are presented as you walk into the showcase. And the tech majors, we also get to work on the show. So if you're a freshman, you might get to try out the lighting console for the first time or something. And so Mr. Salick and Ms. Schwartz make it such a wonderful experience where they help you and they hold your hand and they guide you throughout the way, and it's so wonderful. You learn so much from Showcase. I'm sure Katie can testify on the theater side. It is absolutely such a learning experience, and it teaches you what it's like to actually put on a production. So if you don't make it into the musical or the fall play, you can still be in an APA production, which is pretty cool, I'd say. And we have 3 majors like UC Tech. So our 3 majors are technical theater, theater, and dance. I'll talk a little bit about technical theater, Anna will talk about dance, and Katie will talk about theater. So in technical theater, we learn a lot about what goes on behind the scenes on a stage production. So for example, if you like drawing, we do a lot of drawing stuff here. We like to make set designs, and we do something called like a drawing of the week, sophomore and junior year, where basically we'll be given a prompt and we have to draw something and submit it as a homework assignment. If you are into like art, if you are more into like lighting design, we do a whole lighting design thing sophomore year, and sound design also sophomore year. Junior year, we are going to talk about more of projects. So we do a lot of thing called model making junior year, and it's another kind of artsy project. So if you're really big into art, technical theater is a great place for you. Another thing that you might want to know about technical theater is that we spend a lot of time building freshman year. So if you are interested in like carpentry and stuff like that, technical theater is a great major for that. You learn a lot about how to build sets and how to use nail guns and how to basically figure out how to do all these things that you probably didn't know you were going to do in technical theater. And it is a total learning experience. And whether or not you want to pursue technical theater, you will definitely leave that class learning something. Like, I didn't know how to use a nail gun before I started technical theater, and now I do. But yeah, so if I ever need a nail gun, I can use one. Katie, do you want to talk about theater?
Yes, thank you, Jess. So in theater, we learn a lot about the history of theater, which does sound boring, but I will tell you, I've learned so many different interesting things. Like we talk about the history of theater compared to like when Shakespeare's plays were put on versus how nowadays plays are put on. And just like there's so many different like things I guess that like go into it. Um going to my goodness. Talking about history of theater, we also read a lot of plays, both old and new. Um, and after we read these plays, we of course make scenes, and it's a really great opportunity to just collab with everyone in the classroom or just certain groups in the classroom. You get to learn so much about yourself and the people in the room while you're making these scenes. And it's a really great way to kind of understand more of how the play like works and how each character thinks, and it's amazing to feel like I'm in this character's shoes. Like this character's feeling so sad or so mad, I'm feeling that, you know? And like Jess talked about earlier, we do have our showcases, which is a really amazing opportunity to just put together everything you've learned throughout the year. Of course, not everything, but just small little scenes or monologues, which are like this big chunk of writing like a paragraph that one character speaks. And you just take all of the amazing things that you've done throughout the year and you kind of just smush them into this 2 hour, hour and a half performance, and it's just like so amazing. I think last year it was the first time we did like improv, which if you don't know what that is, it's like making a scene or just like something up as you go along with like new characters, different scenes each time. It's so unexpected. Um and that's basically it. Oh, and our junior year we do something really fun called dramaturgy. And I'm not going to spoil anything because I'm not going to do that to you guys, but I will tell you it is a huge project that we do. Um, for my class, we're doing it throughout the whole year. For the other theater class, because there's two theater teachers, are doing it all right now and focusing on other stuff throughout the year. But it's a really great way to quickly learn and perform things. You have to start memorizing things like that. You got to know it, know it, know it. It's a really great exercise that is, I think, most juniors look forward to.
Yeah, and now I'll talk about dance. So for dance your freshman year, you have you're split into half. So half you'll have Mrs. Gavin, half will have Sir Jackson. Both have different teaching styles, but they teach genres such as ballet, jazz, modern, and besides just them, you have guest artists that come in from professional ballet companies, backgrounds with cultural dance, modern companies. So you get a lot of experience from professionals. And sophomore year, you all will have Sir Jackson, and his main focus is Horton modern technique, which is, if any of you heard of Alvin Ailey, is very demanding and strict modern technique, but you build so much strength, and I learned so much just through it, how to utilize my own body. And then junior year, you all have Miss Gavin, who teaches more Limon-based modern, which is her specialty. But still, throughout all this, you have guest artists. And just besides dance and training itself, other guests we have are like nutrition, and that's a really cool way to connect the body and our health. And we also have history of dance that we learn about throughout the year, as well as we do some anatomy. We do. So I definitely like those connections to dance. And it's a really very, very fun program. I mean, I've always danced outside of school my entire life and trained, but I've learned so much more through the dance program at APA, and I have taken my skills to the next level. I think all of us can speak on that as majors. You feel like you're a professional, and they treat you and you act as if you're a professional. Professionalism is a big part of APA. And as just mentioned too, dance has always been my passion, but that doesn't technically mean I want to go to it as my career. And APA is very supportive of that. So, for example, the usage of medical related things, and at least as a dance major, since that's what I'm interested in for my career, is very flexible. And I still get to learn my basic curriculum and train in my passion at the same time. So it's a great opportunity that I'm so glad I came here for. Yeah, that's pretty much for dance majors.
Yeah, and really quickly, sorry, I wanted to mention that APA is a very tight-knit community. We pretty much all know each other super well. And if you like an environment that's like really small, I think we're about 60 kids per grade, APA is definitely the place for you. We all get so built together. We're all like a huge family here. So yeah, if you like that kind of thing, APA is the place for you. Thank you guys.
I do want to add one more thing before we go. I'm so sorry, but before we just wrap up our APA presentation, I wanted to mention, because we didn't mention before, that APA, I don't know if they do it at other schools, but APA has this thing where we do showcases every month to kind of showcase I don't know what the word is,
I
but
can help you
showcase.
out with this if you need.
Yeah, can you help me out? I don't know
We
what the
have
word is.
assemblies every month. So we just had our Hispanic Heritage Month assembly. And this isn't just strictly for APA kids. You can be from any school if you want to perform. And these are all in our black boxes, usually during 9/10. It'll be announced and you can audition to be a part of it. We have Women's History Month, Black History Month, and we have poetry assemblies and many more.
Pride Month's a big one.
Pride Month in June, yes. So it's a very, very fun performance opportunity that's low-key and chill. Everyone has a great time. And including with this, we have what other schools have similar to. We have our APA Day, which is the day before winter break, which is also a great, fun, relaxing day. Everyone has a great time. And we have our big thing, lip sync battle, which is like a competition between the grades, and you prepare with your student councils. So there are lots of opportunities for performing at APA, and it's a great environment.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Oliver. I'm a sophomore, and I am in class council, student government, and I am the student representative on AJL's advisory board.
Hello, my name is Gabriella Resende. I'm a sophomore at AGL, and I am also too in student government, class council. I also competed in Skills USA my freshman year, and I am also a varsity.
So just a bit about the curriculum in AGL. The chart that you see here is not the actual curriculum for AGL. It is currently under revision as we are a new academy. So AGL works in partnership with Rutgers to build this curriculum. We work with the Rutgers textbook for our classes. So I'm just going to speak a little bit about the classes that I've already taken and the classes that are currently under development. So the class that we take our freshman year is called Introduction to Supply Chain Management. And what that is, it's a baseline introduction to all things global logistics. So a few projects that we worked on then, we worked on flowcharts, which tracks a product from start to finish, sourcing to selling. We worked on a media presentation. We did some media training to work on what we would do if there was some sort of collapse within our business. We worked on modes of transportation and selling points. So there are many different things that we work on in AGL, and it's all project-based learning. So everything that you learn in all of our classes are going to be real scenarios that you have to work on yourself. The classes that we take this year, I am a sophomore. We take advanced global logistics and supply chain management, which is practically the same thing except more in depth. So the things that we do, we have to research more, we have to spend more time doing things, and we have to make it much more professional and better formatted as if we are actually working the jobs that we are performing. And we also take another class this year. It's an elective class required for all AGL students called Global Trade in a Connected World. And what that is we discuss the history of supply chain management and trade. So recently we discussed the Silk Road and the Indian Ocean trade routes, things of that sort. We also do a lot of project-based learning in that class, such as actual interactive trading and selling of goods. We get our OSHA 10 certification our sophomore year in our advanced global logistics class. I believe we get our Certified Logistics Associate certification, our CLA certification, our junior year. So the two classes that we take our junior and senior year are currently under revision. So the curriculum is set, however, the names are not decided, but we can look at the chart here. It says purchasing and supply chain management, which is a part of the curriculum for our 11th grade year. And grade 12, it says operations management, which is something that we work on all throughout AGL, not just our senior year. So more about that as we continue to develop as a school. But that is currently what we have. And since we do work in pair with Rutgers curriculum, you are eligible for college credits with Rutgers as well as Union County College. And yeah, take it away, Gabby.
What makes AGL unique? As Oliver was saying, all of our classes are project-based learning. So we do a lot of self-work and presentations. We also have a shared partnership with FBLA, which means that we are automatically enrolled into that club. We also have a partnership with the New York Port Authority. We also get OSHA 10 certified and CLA certifications. And these CLA certifications include global supply chain logistics, safety principles, logistics environment, material handling equipment, safe material handling and equipment operation, quality control principles, work communications, computer use for the warehouse and logistics industry. We also have internship programs, and we also introduce mental hop all around UCVTS. Well, working on introducing it all around UCVTS.
Just a bit more about the internship. So we have a partnership with New York Port Authority, which not only gives us connections, but we are working on internship opportunities with them. So a few of our students upon junior year, because you must be a junior to work, to be an intern at New York Port Authority, will be beginning their internships next year. A few of our students already have internships with other companies. And yeah, we are still working on those as well.
All right, thank you so much. So those were our schools. I hope you guys got some useful insights about them, and you can ask even more under our Q&A at the end. For now, we'll go into our clubs and campus culture, and these are the things that make UCVTS so unique. These are the things that students spend a lot of their time on outside of their academics. I think they add a lot of flair to our campus, so we'll get into that.
On campus, we have a lot of competitive event clubs, and for most of these clubs, they belong to a certain school. Like as mentioned by AGL, FBLA sponsors AGL. It also is coincides with AIT. And I will just tell you a little more about what each club offers. Most of them are tied to a certain school and vocation.
So first things first, for AIT, we have FBLA, which stands for Future Business Leaders of America, and it's one of the largest clubs on campus. And especially if you're an AIT student, FBLA will really be ingrained or integrated into your school life. In freshman year, we already talked about kind of computer applications in business, and in that class, you'll complete some courses FBLA has to offer called the Business Achievement Awards. And also in AIT, you're automatically enrolled as a member in FBLA. And we have regional, state, and national levels to compete. And for state and national levels, you get to travel around the nation. And we had 12 national 2025 UCVTS finalists. So UCVTS definitely does very well nationally as well as statewide as a chapter.
Our next club is HOSA FHP, which stands for Future Health Professionals. And like I said about Allied, we try to prepare students for the healthcare field, So one way we do this is through HOSA. Their mission is to empower future health professionals to become leaders in the global health community through education, collaboration, and experience. And similar to what FBLA does, we have different levels of competition at regional, state, and internationals. And we try to let every student at Ally join it, however, it is open throughout every school on campus. And in the past year, we've had 13 international finalists from UCVTS, which basically just means getting top 10 in your event. And we do have opportunities for not only local officers, so students within UCVTS, but state officers where we send 5 selected candidates every year to the state level to present themselves.
All right, so TSA stands for Technology Student Association. That's one of the magnet clubs. So that's a sorry. That basically gives you a bunch of competitive events ranging from leadership, engineering, and creative design. There's basically something for everyone. You could take something that's like a programming competition, something biotech, or like even making a story talking about sustainable energy sources, stuff like that. There are individual and group events. You'd be able to take tests or participate in a competition with the group. You'd also be able to apply for the Achievement Recognition Program, and there is also a Teams test you can take to get further recognition in TSA.
FCCLA stands for Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. So all students in the Teacher Education Academy are automatically enrolled in this, but it's open to everyone at UCVTS. And also at UC Tech, we are home to FFA and Skills USA. But more on FCCLA, it's basically competitive events that range from culinary arts, fashion design, education, nutrition, human development, and hospitality. And we also compete regionally, state, and nationally.
All right, so robotics is our largest club on campus. We participate in the first robotics competition. I don't know if some of you have done first Lego League or first technical challenge. We basically do the highest level, which is first robotics competition. Our team number is 1257 and our name is Parallel Universe. So essentially the team has many different sub teams you can be on. So there's programming where we code in Java, electronics, which is like wiring the robot, building, which is obviously building the robot, and then the other stuff as well, like business, design, strategy, and safety. Essentially, there is something for everyone on the team. And during the off season, or like when we don't have competition, older members or elder students will be teaching you all you need to know to be able to participate in the competition season, which is during January to May. So robotics does have a fundraising requirement, which is now gone up to $500 as of this year. We need a lot of money to keep our clubs going, especially robotics, since we need to buy new parts and the buses to be able to go to competitions. So that's why we have a fundraising requirement. We compete in the Mid-Atlantic region in like first robotics competitions, and overall we've had 20 plus awards from competitions over the years.
So on campus, we also have a speech and debate club, and it has a lot of different events that you can do. We participate at both the state and the national level. We offer extemporaneous speech, we offer declamation, impromptu, public forum debate, and Lincoln Douglas. And this is a club that's great for getting research skills, critical thinking skills, and public speaking skills.
Okay, so Relay for Life is a club that pretty much many students like take place in. We as UCVTS are the largest high school that takes place in this in the nation, and every year we raise more than $200,000 to fight back against cancer and raise money for more awareness and research to go out. And in that like sense, we are consistently the #1 school in the nation. And the way the event takes place is it's an overnight event, and we have 2 chapters. One for students at Allied, Magnet, AGL, and APA, and the other for students at AIT and UC Tech. And it's an overnight sleepover at the school where we have many different activities, and things to raise awareness for cancer research, but also celebrating how people fundraise to get there in the first place. And every year around in November, we have a kickoff event to display the year's themes, the officers, the advisors, and anyone else really helping out with the event, and also disclosing information about when the event will be in itself.
So now I'll talk about Coding Club. So in Coding Club, you get the chance to learn coding even if you're not an AIT student. So the main languages we cover are Python, which has a lot of use in data analysis and STEM fields. We're also covering Java, which is really good for, I believe, like web development. And I think we also did courses on HTML and CSS last year. I think we're doing that again this year. Those are also really good for web development. And we're covering AI and machine learning. That's actually really new. We just started that last year, and we're hoping to continue that into this year. And we have a lot of, and for if you're an AIT student taking AP Computer Science Principles, which all students will take sophomore year, you'll get the opportunity to have tutoring from more experienced coders. This can be really helpful if you're just starting out with the language and you need more practice. So I'd highly recommend doing it. And each year we host a hackathon, which is basically an event where I think you can usually form teams with other students, and you'll be given a prompt, and in a certain amount of time you have to make a program for that prompt. Like, I don't know, make an app for people going to a gym. Like, so then you'd have to make an app for that, and then you'd present that, and basically the best ones would get prizes. So this could be really good on college applications. It could be, and to find like more practical coding experience too in the real world. And we also do bi-weekly coding challenges when we have workshops. So right now we're doing our Intro to Python workshop, and every other week one of our officers will post a coding challenge. So it can be a prompt like similar to a hackathon. You can just like submit that in Google Classroom. It's more casual, and the officers will take a look at it. And in addition, there's this Olympiad called USA Coding Olympiad. It's this whole national thing, and basically it'll recognize students with talent in coding. So, and Coding Club offers prep for that each year. So if you're looking to join that and get national recognition, then Coding Club's a really good place to go to prepare for that. And you don't have to have any coding experience to join Coding Club. It's open to everybody. And we also have newspaper club, and in this club you'll have the opportunity to write short articles and get them published on our website, the Campus Chronicle. You can write about like literally any topic that interests you. So for example, I write about space science a lot. I know a lot of people, I think I've seen articles about like psychology, about music, opinions on just general things going on in the world. Literally anything, you can write about it. And we have writing workshops each year. And these are like for things specific to writing articles, but also things that you could use for writing in general. So if you're looking to improve your writing skills, I'd highly recommend going. And we also have a very large team of editors, so you can always find somebody available to help you if you need help with writing an article or in general. And the way we do Campus Chronicles is we release them in editions. We usually do like 1 or 2 editions per year, which are just like these big like releases of a bunch of articles ran over this like they're usually written a few months before the release, go through the entire writing process and then release. So it's like a really long process, but then we have this like little release party and we'll just like celebrate all that we've done. And once again, like Coding Club, this is open to all writing experience levels. So if you have any sort of interest in writing or journalism or just want to practice writing in general, I'd highly recommend joining.
Now we have Multicultural Club, which celebrates the diversity of our student body. Because as you guys know, all of the towns in Union County go to our school. So we have a lot of different populations represented. Most multicultural meetings are based around holidays. So for example, for Lunar New Year, we had a celebration where we gave out Chinese snacks and we handed out red envelopes. We also have a few out of school events like the Multicultural Fair, which has foods from around the world. We had Bollywood night last year, and we are planning another one where you can learn different types of Indian dance. We share foods from around the world at every meeting for free. And one of the notable events we had last year was the Holy Colored Powder Festival, where you throw powder around to represent a celebration.
So science club, essentially a club where we have weekly meetings for science experiments. These are designed by your peers, by other science club members, officers, sometimes. So some of our most notable ones are like egg drop contest, elephant toothpaste, things like that we do every single year. Basically the main aspect of science club is the science Olympiad. So our school consistently does pretty well. However, it is a very selective process to make it onto the team. So typically they take the top 1 or 2 scorers of each event and they get put onto the team. And these tryouts happen really early on in the year. So if you're thinking of doing this, if you maybe did this before, then I would start studying really early on into the school year. So basically like first week. And they do prioritize freshmen and sophomores when they choose the team. So it's not purely based on test scores. So if you're going to be a freshman next year and you're thinking of doing it, I think it's a really good time to try out for the team. And then we also do USABO, USA Biology Olympiad preparation. It started last year. And we're going to expand on it a bit more this year to have like study sessions. Spanish Honor Society. So you do have to be at least a sophomore to apply for the society. So we have multiple Spanish levels in UCVTS. So by your sophomore year, you should be in at least Spanish 3 in order to apply for this club. And you should be at least in your sophomore year. And you basically have an interview and you have to write an essay, and these are all done in Spanish. And then they pick out who they want to be in the club. And this club offers tutoring to anyone who signs up on the campus. And we also celebrate Hispanic heritage with certain performances, celebrations, and we have an annual field trip.
So Future Farmers of America, I briefly discussed this for the sustainable side as well. There are 4 competitions each year for FFA. The first one happens late November, which is career development events, or CDs for short. The fall CDE offers you to compete in fruits and veggie, milk and quality products, turf management, forestry, and landscape. The spring CDE offers different competition opportunities, which is like mainly like business oriented and entrepreneurship. During the CDs, you have to take a test to show that you know the knowledge of the topic, and you also have to have an in-person portion to prove that you know like the hands-on parts of the thing to earn points for the competition. If you don't like competing for like that type of stuff, there's also floral design competition, or like you make a flower arrangement, real or fake. You could also like grow a plant. That's like also a different category for it. At the end of the year, there's state convention where you earn the awards if you place in the CDEs, and also you earn a free FFA jacket. I have mine here. You have your name embroidered on it, and if you write a good enough essay, and there's also scholarship opportunities for college, and you can earn that at the CDE as well.
There is a multitude of clubs on campus. Ones we don't have time to cover every single one, but here's a list of some of the other clubs we do offer. I know this may all seem overwhelming at first, but when you do attend UCVTS, we have a club fair within the first month of school where all of the clubs will tell you a little bit about their clubs, and you can sign up for the Google Classrooms for more information. Most of the clubs on campus can also be followed on Instagram if you are interested on getting a look at them now. So some of the other clubs are Mental Hop, which as the AGL rep mentioned, it started in AGL. AIT has since adopted it. It basically mixes mental health education with hip hop. Then we have Skills USA, which is another competition club, but this one is unique in the sense that it has multiple different vocations, not just business, like let's say FBLA, or sustainable science, like FFA. We also have we have Math League, we have the Book and Film Group, which they basically do book and movie reviews. We have the Gay Straight Alliance. We have Dance Club. We have Drama Club. Drama Club is one of the clubs that does typically meet sometime after school. So keep that in mind. It is very high commitment. Then we have Music Club. It's composed of like a bunch of different small bands that do competitions outside of school. We also have the National Honor Society, which students can be invited to starting junior year, and you have to apply to get in. Also, not mentioned here, but we also have a chess club. There are multiple clubs on campus, and if you don't see anything that represents you, you are able to apply to start a club, and you may or may not get approved.
Okay, now we're going to talk about placement and also summer advancement. So another opportunity I just want to point out is that pay attention to placement tests and advancement tests. So for 8th grade, after you receive your acceptance, you have to take a placement test to basically determine where you start in math and Spanish. And there are 5 levels to math in our school. So going from combined algebra to geometry/trigonometry to math analysis, which is essentially pre-calculus, then to AP Calculus AB and AP Calculus BC. And some schools, some middle schools will have already taught combined algebra and possibly geometry/trigonometry. So you may be able to place out of those courses and go straight to math analysis. And you are also able to skip to AP Calculus AB, but you may have to reach out to your principal or counselor about that, and you may have to self-study a little in the summer before. And at UCVTS, Spanish is the only language offered. So if you've been taking it in middle school, you might be able to skip Spanish 1 and go to Spanish 2. And we also have Spanish speaking for heritage speakers, as well as Spanish 3, 4, and then AP Spanish language or AP Spanish literature.
So you're also able to advance out of classes in the summer. You're able to advance out of any math class besides Calculus BC as long as you self-study and take a test in August. You're able to advance out of any Spanish as long as you do the same thing. You can skip 2 levels in the same year, which means that you can skip geo, trig, and math analysis in the same year, but it's pretty difficult and you'll have to talk to your principal about that. And physics you can skip once you get to your sophomore, junior summer. But I think with magnet kids, it's a little different because their curriculum when it comes to physics is different. And you have to be approved with physics advancement from by an interview. And another thing about UCVTS is that you're able to take any AP you want through self-studying at any point throughout your high school career. So you could self-study and take Calculus BC in your freshman year. The school is not going to stop you. But I just think that's a really interesting extra perk that you can do. So you can take APs that are not necessarily offered by your school or you don't have time for them in your electives.
Okay, so now for a really exciting part. So we're super excited and honored to announce our guest speakers for today's session. Our first guest speaker is Hannah Tao, who is a current junior at MIT majoring in computer science and engineering, and she previously graduated from AIT on the IT track. And our second guest is Madelyn Lee, who is a current freshman at Princeton, and she's looking to major in mechanical engineering, and she also previously graduated from AIT on the IT track. So we'll start off by having each speaker talk a little bit about their UCVTS experience, what they were involved in, what clubs, and what they learned. And then after that, we'll move into a Q&A session. And feel free to type any questions in the chat that come to mind.
Hi everyone, really nice to meet you. Super excited to be part of this amazing session and kudos to all of you guys for putting this together. So yeah, hi, my name is Hannah and like Claire gave a really great intro about, I'm currently at MIT and I really credit UCVTS and AIT specifically for like preparing me in some very unique ways for college admissions and just college overall. So yeah, I won't bore you with the details on this screen for what I was involved in, but you can sort of just read it over there. I guess some things I would like to highlight are, I think my 2 biggest involvements on UCVTS campus specifically were FBLA and Math League. FBLA, I think, really helped me get out of my shell and um, sort of improve my social skills and public speaking skills and just soft skills overall that will be helpful in any career that you go into. And that really sort of set the stage for me getting into other leadership positions and open the door for a lot of other opportunities for me. And so for math, also, that was a really big part of my high school experience. I was involved with math competitions through Math League and also just leadership through Math League. And it was a super unique experience. I think since every school on UCVTS had its own Math League and sort of it's almost a fun rivalry between the schools at competitions to see which school can beat each other in Math League. And I have really fond memories from that time. And I think Math League really sort of showed me different ways of problem solving that you don't really learn in school. And that really prepared me for more advanced classes in college. So yeah, I guess that sort of brings me to now. I'm currently studying computer science and engineering at MIT. And I think in the future, I'm interested in going into software engineering, potentially also ML or product management, still figuring it out. But starting out at IIT and taking coding courses and stuff like that really gave me a great foundation in STEM that is also helpful no matter what career you go into. So, as you can also see on the screen, the clubs that I'm currently in are honestly somewhat similar in flavor to what I did in high school. And so, it's really cool to see how I guess like high school activities really translate past high school. And I think this is true for a lot of my friends as well. So yeah, really excited to be talking more in the Q&A panel, and also I'm excited to answer your questions.
Great, thank you, Hannah. Okay, now we're gonna talk. Now we can talk more about Madelyn.
Hi guys, I'm Madelyn. I'm currently a freshman going to Princeton. I graduated on the IT track last year at AIT. Looking to major in probably mechanical engineering. And some things I would like to highlight were definitely the clubs that I participated in UCVTS. So I was really big on robotics. I was there for 4 years and I was a build lead and documentation liaison in my junior year. And then I was the design director and on the drive team my senior year. I also participated in FBLA as like a national competitor and state competitor. And I was a part of the No Place for Hate Club. And I was one of the events co-chairs last year. And then for National Honor Society, I was the treasurer. And then fast forwarding to Princeton, I also did similar clubs as I did in high school. For example, I'm in PRE, which is the Princeton Racing Electric Club. It's like a similar form to the Formula SAE clubs at a lot of other colleges. And I'm on the drivetrain team, on the mechanical team. And then I'm also in robotics again, but I'm doing a bionics team, which is basically like robotic prosthetic arms. I mean, I'll just like answer questions that you guys have, like, I don't know, in the Q&A panel and stuff like that. I'm not really sure what you guys are looking for, so I'll be happy to answer questions that you guys specifically have.
Okay, great. So I have a few questions prepared, but you guys can obviously ask your questions in the chat as well, and then we can move on to those after we do the first few questions. So the first question I have for you guys are how did your experience at UCVTS prepare you for Princeton or MIT academically and personally?
I guess I could start off with this. I think honestly, the biggest things were that helped me past high school were my extracurricular involvements. I hinted at this a little bit earlier, but honestly, I think just from any high school, like classes will be very different from college classes, so they won't translate directly, but things like study habits and being on top of your work and stuff like that definitely do translate. I think beyond that, um, I really developed as a person through participating and being super involved in my extracurricular activities. I'll probably be highlighting this a lot through my other answers to my questions as well, but honestly, extracurriculars are really what help you stand out and also will help you grow as a person a lot. So I think through FBLA, honestly, before participating in FBLA and becoming an officer, I was a lot more hesitant to like put myself out there and get involved in leadership related experiences. I was just a really quiet person beforehand, and I think after doing FBLA and getting my first leadership position, it gave me I guess it empowered me a lot to get into other leadership positions and then become a leader in many other clubs on campus. And so even now, I think the soft skills that I've developed through FBLA, such as even just talking to people and networking, are still super important in things like job searching or just like even making friends on campus in college and becoming leaders in clubs on campus. So yeah, it's honestly just something that will help you no matter what you go into. And also, like I mentioned, like Math League, I think was one thing that really stretched my brain, in a sense. Like it's just really different from, it's a really different way of thinking from school classes. And a lot of concepts that I learned in competition math have actually come up in my classes as a CS major. So especially my like probability class or the math for computer science, discrete math, like those use Math League concepts a lot. And even in classes that aren't directly related to Math League, like that problem solving knowledge has really helped me in honestly having a better time in classes than a lot of people who didn't practice, who didn't participate in those sorts of activities in high school. So yeah, I think those are probably the main things for me.
To add on to that, I agree with Hannah on how like doing specific extracurriculars can help you in your college experience. For example, doing robotics helped me like get into more STEM related clubs in college because I learned a lot of like CAD skills, which is computer aided design, during my time in robotics, and that's how I became design director and such. And that definitely helped me like be more involved in the clubs that I'm in right now, because I'm able to actually participate in the things that they're doing in the clubs. So that definitely helped me. And also academically, I think a lot of the courses that UCVTS offers are pretty high level compared to a lot of high schools around the country. And being able to like take advantage of that is really helpful because some students at like in college didn't have the opportunity in their high schools, and it's just good to have like a head start just to like give yourself a good foundation in college. For example, taking multivariable calculus and linear algebra in high school definitely helped a lot. I'm currently taking that course, and it's the information that I had in high school definitely helps me in college. um and then also just taking advantage of the amount of APs that um the high school offers as well is also really helpful. Even if those APs don't really transfer, you at least have some background information in the classes that you can transfer over to college. But yeah.
Okay, great responses from both of you. So our next question is, how did you explore your interests or decide what major to pursue?
Yeah, I think for me, um, I think, yeah, I was like a case where I think my high school activities just translated pretty well into my major. A lot of people who do competition math in high school, I guess naturally go into computer science or math in college. And I guess for computer science specifically, though, besides the classes that I took in school, I didn't have too much experience in that. So the way that I just explored that more after I joined college was just by taking classes, and I found that I just enjoyed the classes. Um, either the P sets or like the types of things that I was learning, it just genuinely interested me, and it didn't really feel too much like tedious work that sometimes high school makes you do. So yeah, I think that was one thing. I think I initially was also interested in a few other career paths going in as a freshman in college. So I used to be pretty interested in consulting, but one way that I sort of ruled that out was actually getting more involved in business clubs on campus and just learning more about what those careers actually entail and what the day-to-day work looks like. And through just talking to people and joining those activities, I found that consulting was probably actually not what I wanted to go into. So I think starting off in college, like both finding out things that you like and also ruling out things that you don't like are very useful for you to um, decide your major. And I think for a lot of colleges, not all, but a good amount, it's pretty flexible for changing majors. So at least at MIT, you can basically change your major whenever you want as long as you can get those classes done. So choosing a major in the beginning is not a huge deal, and you can still sort of continue to go on your college journey to explore your interest. But yeah, I think for a lot of people, just starting those extracurriculars in high school does help a lot and gives you a lot of background to make that decision.
That's like similar to Princeton where you go in undecided, like you have to specify a specific path you like are interested in, but you don't actually decide your major until after freshman year. Um, and so right now I am interested in mechanical engineering and I've always been interested in mechanical engineering, but honestly, like lately I've been like after like taking a few courses and such, I've been thinking about different engineering options, but I'm still not sure yet. So I think my main thing for like exploring interests is just like, yeah, joining a lot of clubs, like taking different classes that you think would you would think would be interesting, but maybe like after taking them, you don't think they're that interesting anymore. And definitely like joining a lot of different clubs, as Hannah said, definitely like expand your interests before you narrow them down. That's basically.
I think that's both really good advice. So our next question is, what advice would you give to current UCVTS students about making the most of their time here?
Yeah, I think I have a few points that are pretty unique to UCVTS because honestly, UCVTS is such a unique high school setting, and there's a lot of things to be taken advantage of here. So I have like three main points, I'd say. One is I think the counseling is genuinely really good here because the class sizes are really small. I personally got to know my counselor like really well. Mrs. Frank at at AIT is amazing. And because they have so many less kids to worry about, in a normal high school, you might have hundreds of kids per grade. And so it's a lot more overwhelming for the counselors. But in high school, you can really get to know your counselor more one-on-one. And come college admission season, those counselors will be the ones writing some of your recommendation letters. So I do know for a fact that I was able to get a super strong recommendation letter from my counselor because I took the time to talk to her a lot, set up meetings, just like I would sometimes just go into her room and ask questions if I had any concerns. And through those interactions, we just got to know each other super well. And that honestly was a really underrated aspect of UCVTS that I think people should take advantage of more. My second point is I think classes are honestly not the end all be all. You might see people just, um, I guess, self-studying a lot of AP classes at the expense of maybe having time for extracurriculars. And maybe some people would disagree with me, but I think that at a certain point, self-studying AP classes will only do so much for you. And I think it's even more important to get more involved in the activities that you do and show that you're passionate about those activities. So, yeah, like I think one great thing about the UCVTS is honestly that there's maybe like less opportunity for you to um like take a ton of AP classes at once through school than a normal public high school because you have required vocational classes. But honestly, that's a good thing because I think for public high schools that allow you to take maybe 8 AP classes at once, that will take up basically so much of your time that you won't have as much time for other things. Whereas at UCVTS, you might max out at maybe taking max like 4 to 5 AP classes through school. If you want to self-study outside of school, that means that that would show that you're going above and beyond, and it still takes less time than taking like maxing out at a public high school, if that makes sense. So TLDR is focus a lot on your extracurricular activities and don't worry if you can't take like 20 AP classes in your high school career. And yeah, I think finally, the third piece of advice I have is a little bit related to that, but I think when you approach joining activities in high school and joining clubs and stuff, it's better to sort of go in joining a ton of things and then narrowing down because I think it's easier to drop things later on than join things later on. So yeah, as a freshman, I think I was part of like 20 plus Google Classrooms because um each club has its own Google Classroom, and then you can sort of narrow it down from there. But it's good to just have them there in case you do want to get more involved in certain things later on.
For me, I would say, like I said before, taking advantage of like the school system and how they offer a bunch of like higher level classes, especially like for math, there's multivariable calculus and linear algebra. There's also a statistical class called what's it called? Mathematical.
Math stats.
Yeah, math stats. Um, there's also that class which is pretty high level. And then just taking advantage, if you're doing STEM, for example, or if you're looking to do STEM, I would try to maximize the amount of physics classes you take. So there's 3 physics classes that are offered. There's the regular physics, then AP Physics, Mechanics, and then also E&M. Just like I would say, like, I know there's some people that say to take like if your workload is like a lot, to take like an easier class to like, I don't know, maybe like what's the word? Like make your workload easier. But I would say in high school, I think it's better to maximize like your grades matter, but I feel like the rigor of your courses also matter a lot. And I feel like if you're showing that you're trying to maximize the amount of rigor that you're taking, that's better than only getting like a high GPA or something like that. Um, Also for like clubs and stuff, I think it's good to like join a lot of clubs, like in the beginning, especially to like expand your interests and everything. But after you narrow it down, for me especially, at least it helped a lot for me to narrow down to just really specific clubs. So for example, I focused almost all my time in robotics, and that really helped me to learn a bunch of new skills and then get leadership positions. And I talked about robotics a lot in my college apps, which I think also helped me. Um, and it's also when you're joining new clubs, I think it's really important to actually be involved. For example, I know there's people in certain clubs that just join just to be a part of the club. They don't really participate or like actively do things in the club, which doesn't really help you in the long run. So I'd say like if you're joining a club, definitely um like be more active and try to be more active in the club just because later on you might get the opportunity to become one of the leaders or just like be a better part of the team, something like that. But yeah.
Great. Okay. So my final prepared question is, what advice would you give to current seniors during the college application process?
Yeah, nice. I think my number one thing is actually, I think maybe a less heard piece of advice, but it's really useful if you have a narrative around your entire college application process. Now, it's not the easiest thing to do, but I think for people who have a well-packaged set of activities that all follow a common sort of theme and narrative, then it becomes a lot easier to present yourself in college applications. So what I mean by this is a lot of people will sort of have one main focus and most of their extracurriculars are aligned around that focus. So you could be like a very business oriented person with a lot of leadership and just like business related activities, competitions, maybe outreach or like nonprofits and stuff like that. Or for example, I can tell that Madelyn focused a lot of her application around robotics. And so with that, if you have sort of all your extracurriculars focused, then it shows admissions officers that you have a focus and sort of a path and like a specific niche that you would fill in their college, if that makes sense. And then it also becomes easier for you to write essays explaining your passion for your extracurriculars and like why you're interested in different things. If things all sort of fit together, then it becomes a lot easier. So I feel like it's kind of hard to make this happen like later on in your high school career, which is why ideally one might sort of plan earlier, like beforehand, what extracurriculars they want to join to fit a narrative. But also it's hard to do that so early on in your high school career. But I guess if it's possible, then it can honestly be a pretty big game changer for your college application. So yeah, I think that's probably my piece of advice.
For me, I would say, I mean, one of them is definitely like start your applications early. Don't really like wait till the last minute to start your applications. Just know like definitely know when the deadline is, or like definitely like make a plan of which schools you want to apply early, which schools you don't want to apply early, and such and such. You don't want to wait till the last minute because it can be really nerve-wracking and maybe there's like more requirements that you didn't know about before that you just found out if you just start applying the day of or something like that. And also, I would say definitely talk about in your college apps, talk about what you're passionate about. Like if you're talking about something that you're not passionate about, they're gonna know that you're not passionate about it because I feel like it's just like in your words, like how it's like perceived. Like college admissions can just I don't know. I feel like talking about what your passion is also a lot easier to talk about than something that you think college apps will want to see. Um, I think being more authentic is definitely the way to go. Even if it's something really like niche, so to say. I would say still talk about it. For example, I think one of my essays I wrote about, like if you guys know the show Wildcrats, I don't know. I literally just talked about that. Um, that was one of my Princeton essays too. So yeah, but definitely be authentic and don't make anything up. It like you have a lot to say about yourself. You have your own story and you have a lot to talk about yourself, and you can just show that in your college apps. But yeah.
I think that's really solid advice. So now I'm gonna open up the floor to any general questions. Um, you can ask our guest speakers, or you can ask about UCVTS, or you could just type in the chat. So, does anyone have any questions? And you can also unmute if you want. And the reps can also ask questions.
Hi, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, what are some extracurricular activities or like even volunteering that you did outside of school that you think like helped with your chances? Sorry, I can't hear any of you guys.
I think that question was more for was that for like the high schoolers that are attending or the students that are currently in college?
Um, it could be for either or. Like, I'm right now a high schooler at UCVTS, and I was like wondering what type of extracurriculars or like even volunteering that you like think helped, even with college, like getting into college.
Hannah or Madeline, do you want to take that?
I guess I could start. I think, well, my main thing was definitely robotics that I did all 4 years, but I also I participated in club swim for like 12, 13 years, and that I mean I put that in my application. It wasn't as like prominent in my application, but I definitely put that in. And for like volunteering and stuff, I volunteered at my local library for since I was in 8th grade, and I got like for AIT there was a internship option for senior year, and I got an internship at the library because I volunteered for so long. They just offered me the position. Um, so that probably helped me in my application. I'm not really sure what helped me in my application, to be honest, because they don't really tell you. They just tell you got in, I guess. But um, I did that and some other, I mean, on my slides, there were a bunch of like all the UCVTS clubs that I was involved in. So there was like No Place for Hate, a National Honor Society, and FBLA. And like outside of school, my main thing was just swimming and volunteering um at my library. And I also volunteered at a bunch of robotics events that were offered by the robotics club, so that I got more hours in there. And I also volunteered at swim meets. So I honestly just volunteered at things that I was already a part of, basically. If that makes sense.
Okay, and then
For
you can go.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, you can feel free to also go back to my slide. That shows my UCVTS activities. And outside of school, I also did fencing. I was quite involved with that, and that probably was the activity that took up the most of my time out of my activities. And yeah, I like fenced in both regional and national competitions. And I also participated in this research summer program for 2 summers. So that was also a big part of my college application. So honestly, I think I had four biggest commitments going into the college app season, which were FBLA and Math League, like I have in this slide, and then also fencing and the research program. And as for volunteering, I also wasn't like super involved as a volunteer. I did stuff sort of like Madeline through the things I was already involved in. Outside of that, I was a UCVTS student ambassador, which is just a tour guide. And also like you help run certain events that introduce prospective students to UCVTS. Another thing I did was this program called Engine, which is just online, and they pair you with a Ukrainian student and you help them practice their conversational English. So there was that. I was also a tutor through National Honor Society and a teaching assistant for a few math programs. And I did Relay for Life for 1 year. So I don't count that significantly, but that was something that I did freshman year and it was really fun.
Thank you.
Okay, another question is, how many clubs are practical for most of students who can involve and not be a burden?
Can you ask that question one more time, please?
I guess how many clubs are practical for most of students who want to be involved and won't be a burden or too much of a burden, I guess.
Well, no club is gonna require like staying up all night until like 12 a.m. Doing work for the club. But a majority of clubs will not have like very intense like work at all unless you hold a high officer position and you have to like organize events and such. But like for example, speech and debate, a club that would require a lot of um research, the officer team like does the block file and the research for the team. So the pressure on the team is alleviated if you're like a new student looking to get into the club. And that's kind of like the case for most clubs. You'll get eased into it without like getting dumped with 20 stacks of work. Um, because there's always going to be officers there that can help you out.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I think Sorry. I think especially when you go into freshman year, like our guest speakers said, it's really good to basically be in a lot of clubs, but you have very shallow engagement, I guess. But then as you kind of go through your different grade levels, you should really pick, I think, 2 to 3 clubs that you can get like high leadership positions in. And that way you have really high involvement in those clubs. I'd say around 2 to 3 clubs with high leadership positions shouldn't be that much of a burden. I know FBLA is probably a little more work. Like some of the CTE clubs are a little bit more work. And I feel like newspaper club maybe isn't as big of a commitment as FBLA, but I'd say 2 to 3 clubs are definitely should be doable.
Just to expand on that a little bit, outside of officer positions, competition clubs are usually the ones that do require a bit of outside of school commitment, like, for example, FBLA, HOSA, FFA. If you're looking to do competitive events, you often self-led because there are so many options. For example, FBLA, and the event I did was business ethics, and it required a lot more commitment than some of the other events in FBLA, because I had to interview like 3 business people outside of school. I had to make a presentation, write a business report. And then most of the competition clubs, you have to either spend a weekend or a few days during the school year going to some kind of state competition where you can present your findings. Outside of competition clubs, most clubs are pretty general, and you basically just get to go to the meetings and have a fun time.
Overall, though, I think every club kind of how much time that you have to spend on it is based on what you put into it. So I think it's pretty kind of different based on whatever you want to do.
Okay. I think, does anyone else have any more questions?
Do you guys ever have any free periods?
I don't think we have 4 classes a day and it's like a block schedule, but for our lunch period we have which is period 5, and that's basically, I guess, more of a free period. Lunch in general is a free period, but sometimes you have to go to club meetings during that time. But I don't think we have a traditional like off period or study hall. Except maybe if you do an internship, you might be able to travel kind of outside of campus, but we don't have a free block, I don't think.
The most you'll get like closest to a free period is sometimes your teacher will just decide you don't have to do anything that class period, and you'll just like sit in the classroom, you'll go out to the quad and do whatever. But you never really have an opportunity to just like walk around campus.
That's very rare for the teacher to decide, yeah, we're not doing anything today. It's 83 minutes each class.
Yeah, so we follow a block schedule, so our classes are longer, and we have A days and B days. So A days you have 4 classes, and then B days you have your other 4 classes. So that way each class has more time. And you also have more time to do homework as well.
I saw a question about locker use. I think that's kind of subjective to everyone. I think obviously you shouldn't be carrying all your books one day. So a lot of teachers will either have the books in their classrooms or you can bring them home and then just kind of have it there. Me personally, I don't like to use my locker because I think it's a little bit of a waste of time. But I know a lot of people that do, and it helps them kind of manage what they have to bring so they don't have to like hurt their back as much with what they carry. But you are allowed to bring your backpacks around. So
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't use my locker that much either, but as a dance major at APA, we have dance lockers, and I use those for getting ready for class and housing some of my shoes and other attire that I might need for my dance class. But other than that, I think it's pretty reasonable to have everything in your backpack without an overload.
Same for
The only time
AIT.
someone is required to use their locker is when we do things like the PSAT or ACT at school, and you have to put all of your belongings and your cell phone in your locker. Besides that, you don't really have to. I know some people use it for sports, for example, because if you do sports at your hometown, usually people will leave class like 5 minutes early to change into their uniform, so you might want to keep that in your locker. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
For the question about commuting and doing extracurriculars such as bands and sports, you're allowed to request to leave early out of your last period, which is your 9-10 class, on days in which you have band or sports. So I know my friends, they sometimes do swimming, so they leave their 9-10 class like 20 minutes beforehand, so they're able to get to their practice. So yeah.
Sort of to add on to that, it's town dependent, but there's no actual like shuttle bus back to your hometown that leaves anytime earlier. You have to find your own transportation for sports.
Yeah, depending on what town you're from, you can
I
like
see
pick which stop you go to.
I see a question regarding the physical education classes at our high school. It's actually very unique compared to other high schools. It's an experience you won't get anywhere else. So for most gym classes, you could be used to having both health and sports. For us, each marking period is a different part of gym. So you have one marking period where you do a sport and you work with people from other classes and form teams. You have one marking period of health. The topic changes each year. But then we have one marking period of fitness. So, as you may know, a lot of the different schools on campus have their own fitness room, which is basically just working out. And the gym teachers will teach you how to use all the equipment. They'll show you different exercises, and you do that for a grade for 1 month. And the most unique part is that in one marking period, you do something called Project Adventure. It's challenge by choice, so you are not forced to do anything that's beyond your comfort level, but you basically do a bunch of adventures. So you do things like you learn how to put harnesses on yourself, you learn how to belay other people. So like you're basically holding your classmates' lives in your hand, but it's all supervised by the gym teacher who teaches you how to do it safely. You do things like you climb rope ladders all the way up to the ceiling. There is also something a lot of students look forward to each year, which is called the flying squirrel. That's where you like lay on the floor, your entire team holds a rope and runs, and then you like fly off the floor and you start swinging in the air. project mentor is definitely not common to find in other high schools. So I would say our gym experience is pretty unique.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Or I think we might have to end it soon. So any last minute questions? Okay, I think we're gonna end it here. Thank you guys all so much for coming, and thank you especially to our guest speakers and our representatives. I know it's pretty late, so I just want to thank you, and I hope you guys took away a lot from this and learned from it as well. So, bye guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna end the meeting. Thank you guys.
No problem.
Bye bye.